I used to work at McDonald's. I used to work at a middle of nowhere McDonald's just outside of Port Richmond, Virginia. Spooky, right? But a few months ago, something terrible happened to one of the staff that for some reason justified erasing the place off the map. Not to say I'm sad to see the place go. Now, the thing about fast food is that it attracts two kinds of people. Poor but intelligent people who are working towards a bigger picture, or total losers who have given up hope. I belong to the latter. But Grace, man, she was the queen of the former. When we both started about 8 months ago, I knew straight away this girl was so far out of my league. She was so cool and down to earth and beautiful. She had this way of just accepting people and finding a way to admire them, no matter the person. It doesn't matter that she was beautiful and educated. She was just better than me in every way. When you're the standard suburb moms set their kids not to be, you don't come across that kind of acceptance every day, you know? After months of working together, yeah, we got close. Not what you're thinking. So if it must have been mid-June or something that we both been working the drive-thru together for a couple weeks. When you spend a large portion of your life serving larger assholes from a tiny window, you get real familiar with the view. From my box, you could see the grass hill that separated the drive-thru from the road. Said road, and beyond that, a Walmart parking lot. I spent so much time staring out of the window, I even started to recognize the cars that drove by. But after my first few weeks there, was one in particular that I started to look out for. I thought it must have been the ex-con jitters, or growing up where I did, but I started to get a real bad feeling about this car as the days went by. It was an old Ford truck, one of the 87 F-150 models. Once upon a time, it would have been a real beauty, all bright reds with white stripes down the middle. Now the red body of the truck was rusted beyond recognition, and the white stripe was sickly yellow, like rotting teeth. The windows of the truck were the only things that survived the past 20 years unscathed, as they clearly weren't standard. The whole truck was so heavily tinted, I couldn't understand how the thing was still on the road. The cops are real eager around here, or maybe that's just my experience. Anyway, the first time I see the truck, it's just parked in the lot across the road opposite. Nothing unusual about that, other than the pedophile chick look. It was just a car in a lot. The next day, from my booth overlooking the drive-thru, I see the car again, and again. And I saw it maybe 30, 40 times that day. I think it was just driving in circles for some reason. I started to get real suspicious of this truck. It was looking quiet that night, but the manager was always up my ass if I left my post. So I gave Grace a quick text and asked her to watch the window for me while I went to the bathroom. When I came back, I asked her about the car, and she got damn quiet. Said that a couple of minutes after I left, she saw the car come down the road and hit the brakes for apparently no reason. She said it stayed there, just doing nothing in an empty road. That it felt like whoever was in there was looking at her. I guess it freaked her out when I told her I'd seen it around as well, because she went back to work, then went home before her shift finished. It was the first time I'd seen her anything less than happy. The next day, Grace didn't show up, so I covered her drive-thru shift. There was a big group of people that evening, so instead of looking out for the truck, I was really focused on working through the white trash piling up through the drive-thru. So focused that I didn't notice the truck when it came to the window itself. So the truck stops at my window, and when I finally notice it, I can't even breathe. My eyes are locked on the tar black window, straining for a sight of the driver, but I can't see anything. I just get this feeling like I'm staring down the barrel of a crude oil, and it's something staring right back at me. I don't know what else to do, so I'm just having a staring contest with this window. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, the car races off, tires screeching, over the grass across the wrong lane and races off into the night. I try to tell the manager, but of course he just tells me to get a grip and deal with it. He's an asshole. The next day, Grace came back to work, and she seemed back to her old self. I was still reeling from last night when I told her what had happened. We were both pretty spooked. After a quick smoke, we both agreed that it was probably just some creep playing a joke on us, but we both kept an eye on it just in case. I saw it only briefly that night. It was driving really slow down the road beyond the hill. Its lights were off, so I could only see the truck by the lights of the cars behind. Behind it was traffic, and it was building up, and you could hear horns blaring, following by curses that were cut short as people got close enough to see the windows. Before long, the truck raced off again, apparently done for the evening. When time came for my regular nature break, Grace was happy to take my spot again. That was the last time I saw her. I must have been gone for 2 minutes at the most, but by the time I had returned to the window, Grace was gone, and the sound of screeching tires pierced the night. I ran back into the back and called the police, told the manager what I thought had happened, and pushed my way into the office to look at the security tapes. The manager was busy hollering about regulations beyond the door, but I didn't really give a shit. As I turned on the computer and set up the tape, I saw what had happened. The cameras had picked up everything. On the screen, it played out like a bad horror short. The truck had rolled up out of nowhere as soon as I had gone. With the lights off, Grace had seen it too late. She tried her best to get out of there, but before she could get out, and I can't believe I'm saying this, something came bursting out from inside the truck. 2 long black arms, so thin. They seemed more like dead branches than limbs, thrust from the darkness where the driver's window should be, and wrapped themselves around Grace's mouth and torso. To reach that far, they must have been 6 feet long at least. It was over in about 2 seconds. Grace was pulled headfirst from the drive-thru into the window. That never opened, and that was that. The police closed the whole joint after they took my statement. All of us, management included, got let go so fast they actually had to pay us unemployment. We've been looking for her ever since. It's been 6 months now, and it turns out Grace's family is incredibly awesome. One of her uncles has even taken me on as an apprentice to be a mechanic. No more McAssholes for me. It turned out that one of my friend's dads, Justin, was working the case. That guy hates me, but Justin finally managed to plow him for information. Today, after we met up and spoke about it, I'm convinced that what happened in that booth was even more sinister than I first imagined. The police haven't turned up anything. Turns out the plate number I gave them for the truck actually belongs to a car on the other side of the country. They never even managed to see the damn thing on any other cameras around the area as they checked at all. It's like the car picked her up, blasted out of the drive-thru, and just vanished. Well, there was one tape they didn't get to look at more than briefly. According to Justin, his dad told him his whole department is up in arms because a couple of suits came in with the original tape, maybe 2 days after the kidnapping, told the whole force to drop the case and leave it to the feds. No one believes me, not even Grace's family. Even the cops that saw the tape are keeping real quiet for some reason. But I'm not crazy. I saw that window. And I know whatever took Grace from the booth that day wasn't anything natural. These days I'm always looking at the road, and even when I'm working in the garage, I got an eye out on the horizon, waiting for a car with tar black windows.